In the metals quadrant, taking a look at the July copper futures contract, which is in the midst of a two-day rally after a 13% drop from the open on May 10th to Friday's close. We've come back 1.84%. Now, today was a big part of that. As a matter of fact, on the highs today, we were up 1.79% in that July copper contract at about 4.259. Now, we settled only up about 1.2%, but still that's the majority of that two-day rally that we've seen. That's taken copper back 1.8%. The low today down 45 basis points, 4.165 was that low. And then overall, despite the drop that copper has seen, it's still 32% higher than pre-pandemic levels. So we're not looking at getting back to pandemic levels or pre-pandemic levels. We're long past that, 32% higher at this point in terms of the price of copper. So we're looking at new potential perceived demand that's driven this price. Now, U.S. infrastructure is part of what's getting the rally today. After Jerome Powell spoke, we got a little bit of a pop in copper from being up just around 1% to about 1.4, 1.5%, and then pulling back in toward the close. But the U.S. infrastructure deal is part of this as well. A bipartisan infrastructure deal is getting closer. The group of senators trying to come up with the infrastructure compromise say they are moving closer and closer to an agreement on the proposal, but are still trying to figure out how to pay for it. Senator Rob Portman, a Republican from Ohio, one of the leaders of the group, said yesterday the senators are requesting a meeting with the White House officials today and a plan to draw up or to flesh out, as they called it, framework for a proposal this week. They thought they had an agreement to index the spending to a gas tax, but President Biden does not want to go with a gas tax, so that seems to be a non-starter. But if the U.S. were to get an infrastructure plan, obviously industrial metals would be a big part of that, as you keep hearing the phrase roads and bridges, which would include metals. That would include copper as well. And then, of course, the inverse relationship between the dollar and copper, part of the tailwind today, the dollar weakness that we've seen over the last two consecutive sessions, still only about half of the 51 basis point rally that we saw on Friday, but still that 20 basis points or so down has given a tiny bit of a tailwind to copper, along with the other fundamental factors we're seeing.